It's showtime. It is showtime. We in this piece. Let's go. Let's get it. Hey, listen, I'm super excited about today's topic, and let me just thank you in advance for joining. Today's live is going to be extremely dope. But as you know, each and every week that I bring you live, they're all dope. So make sure you tap back in with some of the other ones that I had that are on my page before they disappear. Because at some point they're going to disappear, and I don't want you to miss out on some of that content that I've already been sharing. So again, thank you and welcome to today's LinkedIn Live. Today we're going to be talking about what if the biggest barrier to your next level it is in your resume. A lot of us, man, we're stuck right here. We're thinking that, oh man, my resume needs to be better in order for me to get that next opportunity, or I need to tweak this in order for me to get that better opportunity. But what if you're wrong? What if your mindset is something that we need to kind of tap into? So if you're just joining, today is going to be a 30-minute presentation. And the title of this presentation is What if the biggest barrier to your next level it is in your resume? All right, so let me make sure everything is open. My comment section is open. We'll make sure we have a little bit of setup here. If you're joining, we're going to be streaming. We're going to be streaming across YouTube, Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. So wherever you're joining from, just make sure you put your first name. Let me know what platform you're streaming or you're joining me from. That way I know it's actually working for me, where I get the most amount of reach. Also, you should know the comment boxes is open. So if you comment anything, I'll try to work through those comments as the presentation continues to unfold. But just remember, this presentation is designed for you to get the most out of it. So if you have questions, even in the middle of my speak, drop those comments. I'll make sure to try to work through those as quick as possible to get your answers answered. And we'll go from there. So welcome to today's LinkedIn Live. Once again, today we're going to be talking about what if the thing that's holding you back it is in your resume, but the way that you're thinking about your career, maybe that's what's holding you back. We'll get into that. Quick intro, a little bit about me. I spent over 15 years in the healthcare arena, rising through the ranks, navigating, eventually became an executive for a technology company. I ran a business unit, supported over 8,000 clients nationwide, had a pretty expansive team with included over 50 individuals that reported to me, plus a development team in Chennai, India, that worked on the development of our technology. So it was a pretty massive opportunity for me as a young leader to have some type of impact and presence. We ended up, we fast forward to the end of 2018, we sold that company for a large sum of money. So that was very impactful, eye-opening for me from a journey standpoint, from a leadership standpoint. And so I was one of the executives that was in the room as things unfolded. What does that mean to you? Well, that means I've navigated this space, right? Kind of been there, done that. And what I've coached people just like you to help reach other levels of success. In fact, I have a young lady who worked for me, and I was just chatting with her about 3 weeks ago. And I asked her, I was like, over the last 5 years, have you personally made $1 million in income? And she thought about it. She was like, you know what? Honestly, over the last 5 years, I've made more money than that. And this is just over the last 5 years. This is her personal wealth that she made just from a little bit of mentoring. So I'm happy to say that she's one of the professionals that have elevated. She's doing great things, but mentorship can lead to future opportunities, right? And so that's why today we're digging into what's the biggest barrier to your next level, and it is in your resume. In addition to spending 15 years in healthcare, I'm a military vet, spent 6 years in the military, traveled, see the world, did 2 tours, one during, right after 9/11. So I feel like, I'm the king of pivots. I went that and I did something else. Then I did healthcare. Now I'm a full-time entrepreneur, just really helping shine light onto the opportunities and leaders within healthcare. Once again, the chat box is open. So if you want to drop your comments, your first name, where are you from, what platform you're streaming on, that'd be great. I know what works for me. And that way I can continue to expand my reach as I do more of these LinkedIn Lives. Today is going to be action-packed. It's going to be live, and we're going to get right into this. So I definitely want to set the tone. Listen, credentials matter, okay? And I don't want to say they don't. I know a lot of us, we seek and we chase these credentials, and we're hopeful that if I get these credentials, all these things behind my name, BS, RN, MSN, MA for Masters of Management, CDP, whatever those credentials are behind your name, those are all dope. And, I'm not saying don't get those, but they're not the currency that moves your career forward. Mindset is. All right. Now, culturally, what I do understand, if we look at cultures, we look at the Asian cultures, we look at the African cultures, we look at the Indian cultures, these cultures, they believe high in education. And I understand that. Whereas if you don't have your master's degree or your doctorate degree, you feel like you're less than. And I get that. But what's the point? Why are your family, why is culturally they're telling you to do things like that? Because they realize that through education, there's an opportunity to elevate, to create opportunities not only for you, but for your family where you can, create generational wealth. That's what it's designed for. Too many times, what I see though is I see so many people, they get all these credentials and they're not doing anything with it and they're still stuck. They haven't moved past where they are today in their current career. So, what I'm telling you is credentials, they matter, absolutely. But the currency that's going to move your career forward is going to be that mindset. So, we're going to talk a little bit about this. Let's pivot. What's really keeping qualified professionals stuck? Everybody wants to know what really is keeping you stuck. Well, listen, it's going to be the lie that you've been sold. What are you saying, Patrick? You tell everybody's been lying to me? No, I'm saying that there's been a lie culturally that you've been lied to make you think that if these certain parameters happen, that it's going to allow you to elevate and achieve greatness within your career. That's a lie. So here's the belief. There's a belief that more certifications equal more opportunity. Yeah, certifications can equal greater opportunities, but that's not going to guarantee an opportunity. And what you and I are looking for is I'm looking for that guaranteed outcome. Whereas, okay, if I do this, it's going to equal this, right? I'm not trying to get a certification just to not equal anything, right? So that belief that more certifications equal more opportunity. Now, personally for me, I remember back in 2007, I started, getting my master's degree because I looked at myself. I was like, okay, well, how many people look like me? How many young Black men are there in the healthcare space that are trying to elevate? What's going to differentiate me from everybody else? So in that situation, I ended up getting my master's degree. Why did I do that? Because I feel like that was going to be a differentiator between myself and everybody else through that hustle game, right? So did it work out for me? Absolutely. So this is an outcome that actually worked. I got the master's degree with my personal intent of elevating. A lot of us, we get these degrees and certificates, and you may have an intent to elevate, but you don't know how to use it. So we'll kind of talk through that as well. Here's another lie you've been sold, thinking that hard work is going to equal promotions. How many? Raise your hand, drop that fireball, your avatar, put it in the comments. If you've seen this before, you've heard this before, someone told you in your family, maybe you told yourself that if I work hard enough, then that's going to equal a promotion for me. Go ahead and drop it in the comments. I'll wait for you to drop it in there. If this has been you, you're thinking hard work equals promotion. That's a lie. Let me go ahead and tell you now, save you some time. It's a lie. Hard work doesn't equal promotion. I will tell you what it is here in a minute. Over-identifying, this is another lie you've been told to yourself. You're over-identifying with your current title, meaning you're in love with your current title. You think that current title is going to lead to additional opportunities just because you have that title, or you stuck on the title, or you're chasing a title, right? And you forget about all those additional other opportunities that are available without the title. So this is a lie, thinking if I achieve this title, then it's going to equal this amount of success, right? I'm gonna give you some tips, some tools so we can navigate through this. You're like, Patrick, give me more meat on the bone. I understand it. Don't leave me hanging. I'm not gonna leave you hanging. In 30 minutes, I'm gonna unpack so much stuff. So hopefully you're ready to go. The other thing too is the cycle of chasing validation instead of building leverage. This is a lie that we've been told. We're thinking if I can get some type of validation, which makes me feel good, that then it's going to equal greater opportunities for me. No, building leverage does. That's what we're trying to do. Building leverage and not seeking validation is what's going to help you reach that next level as well. So let's get into the mindset shifts. There's going to be 3 mindset shifts that I'm going to walk you through and how to navigate so we can get your career to the next level and we can get you elevated and get your check-ins and savings looking like we want our check-ins and savings to look like. So mindset shift number 1, stop playing employee. Start acting like a leader. Man, we're out here, a lot of us out here playing like an employee, but yet we want that leadership position, but you go to work acting like an employee. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. You go to work acting like an employee, but yet you want a leadership position. Well, what are you talking about, Pat? Help me understand more about what you're talking about. Listen, leaders, they lead before they're titled. So you need to ask yourself, are you leading anything? I'm not talking about your peer group of 3 people. I'm talking about within your organization. What are you leading? What outcomes are you leading? Are you showing up as a leader? Are you talking like a leader? Here's a personal example. You probably have a friend group that you hang out with, and I'm sure you and your friend group, y'all hung out together before, right? Maybe y'all went somewhere, and then when you went somewhere, someone asked the group to volunteer for something. There's always that one person in the groups that steps in and decides that, hey, I want to volunteer for something, right? And they step up first. Did they ask? I mean, were they coined the leader of the group? No, they wasn't. Are they getting paid as a leader of the group? No, they're not. But they stepped into it and acted like a leader even without the title. This is in your friend group. Imagine what's going on at the workplace. So leaders lead before their title. If you're hopeful to get to that next level of your career and you're just waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder, generally speaking, that doesn't work. You have to take the initiative and become the leader even before you get the title. Okay. The other thing, too, is I want to help you understand, talk less about task and more about transformation. Okay, Patrick, that sounds great. What are we talking about? Listen, I have a quick tip right here. I wrote it down. I want to make sure I can read it personally. Okay. So when I talk about less about, go back to this one right here. So when I talk about less about task and more about transformation, this is what I mean. If you go look at your LinkedIn profile today or any profile that you have, Indeed, Monster, Career Builder, whatever you have, right? Facebook, whatever your profile is it speaking to the leadership outcomes and positions that you're trying to attract? So instead of saying, hey, listen, I manage schedules for a team of 10 clinicians, this is what you probably want to say. Say, I led clinical scheduling operations that increased team efficiency and reduced patient wait times by over 26%. I'll pause there. Which one actually speaks to a leader more than the other? One is your existing profile that says, I manage schedules for a team of 10 clinicians. This is what you did. You're speaking like an employee. Versus a leader says, I led clinical scheduling operations that increased team efficiency and reduced patient wait times by over 26%. You tell me which one strengthens your profile and sounds more like a leader. I would imagine it's going to be the latter, which is led clinical scheduling operations that increase team efficiency and reduce patient wait times by over 26%. So little tweaks like that help prepare you for those leadership opportunities, and it makes you visible enough for other people to find you and to see what your contributions are to the organization, your existing organization, or your future organization, because now they know the impact that you're making. It's not just about managing people. It's about transforming and creating outcomes for the organization. All right. Y'all drop that firebomb, something in the comment section. Let me know you're still with me. I'm not going over your head, or if I need to repeat anything, let me know. The other thing too is, and let me get back to my comments, make sure they're open. Okay. The other thing too is start thinking like a stakeholder in your organization. What I mean by that is when you go into your workplace, you need to go with the mindset that this is truly your business. Whether or not it's your business or not, you feel like it's your business, meaning there's a high level of ownership where you truly care about the outcome and the impact that the organization is making, not only for the organization as a whole, but also for the people that actually benefit from the solutions or services that your organization provide. So what we're doing is we're thinking like a stakeholder in your organization. I'm showing up with the mindset, how can I contribute to the greater good and the success of the organization? Not just my department, not just my peer group, not just my job title, but the organization. These simple tweaks like that will help you position yourself to achieve higher levels of success and greater titles, which ultimately what we're looking for is I'm looking to achieve a title, but I'm also looking to be compensated for my value. So that's what we're looking for. I want to be compensated, but I want to put myself in the rooms where I can elevate and showcase my skill set. And it starts with thinking like a stakeholder in your organization. Here's some things I want you to replace. Replace replace the thought process that says, what do I need to get promoted with? What problems do I solve that matter to leadership? So that simple tweak in your thinking right here versus thinking about what can I do to get promoted? Start thinking about what problems do I solve and how does that matter to leadership? When you start switching that mindset and focus on the latter, which is the problems that you solve, and then you get visible and you start presenting the way you solve these problems in a visible way, that creates additional opportunities for you, not only be visible to be seen, but it creates additional opportunities for you, whether speaking on panels, being a brand ambassador for your organization, for a different organization, or stepping into future leadership positions only because you've been positioning yourself for that opportunity. See what I'm saying? So replace what do I need to get promoted with what problems do I solve that matter to leadership? I want to get into time check, so we're doing really, really good here. We're right on time. Mindset shift number 2, and again, drop any comments if we need to revisit anything that we just talked about before, or even if you're liking what you're hearing, but this is for you. So mindset shift number 2, okay, very important. Visibility, it isn't vanity. It's value. Yeah, I paused. Visibility isn't vanity, it's value. Okay, so Patrick, give me more. Tell me some more meat on the bone. Tell me more about what this is. We talked a little bit before we got to this particular bullet point about the value of visibility. Right now, we're going through a surge of people are using more and more AI. There's more and more people, creators that you're going to see across your streaming channels, whatever social channels that you frequent. People are putting themselves out there a lot more and more, whether that's face or through blog posts or collaborations with other people. What are they doing? They're putting themselves out there. Why are they putting themselves out there? Because they understand that visibility equals opportunity, or visibility can create opportunities because became visible. People promote who they see, trust, and hear from often. That's how you get promoted. You have to be visible. You have to be seen. You have to be trusted, and your voice has to be heard. Right. This is where promotions happen. So when we think about, and I say this here, for the last since 2018, I've worked remote. Right. I've worked from home. Now before 2018, I was getting it in. Right. I was grinding as an executive. I was making sure myself was visible. The only way I created those opportunities is because I truly became visible. Now, what I'm telling you is, I'm not saying remote work is bad, but I'm saying if your goal is to get promoted and you haven't got promoted yet and you're a remote employee, you need to figure out, how can I be more visible? Because generally speaking, if you're not visible within your office, have those touch points with your managers or leaders within the organization, then they don't see you. And when they don't see you, you don't get promoted, right? So if you're a remote employee and you work from home every single day, but you have that opportunity because you're close enough to go into the office 2 or 3 days a week, I would encourage you to probably do that. And I'm not saying I'm a proponent or an advocate for people returning to the office. I'm not saying that at all. But we're talking about you specifically. How do we get you from here to here? You may want to consider leaving the remote work or doing a hybrid type of schedule where you go into the office and make yourself visible. Or if you're a remote employee and y'all have the capability of doing, like, some of these streaming channels, and you can get actively involved in your organization, you definitely want to do that, because people, they get promoted when they see, trust, and hear you often. Build a visible narrative, like online, in meetings, and in strategic conversations. That visible narrative is who you are. It speaks to the outcomes that you bring to any organization, not just your organization, right? Oftentimes, your next level, it may come from outside of your organization. And a lot of us are fearful because we're so tied into, oh, I have to invest 5 years here. I have to spend 7 years here. I have to spend 15 years here. This is where that mindset is kind of holding you back. You're thinking hard work, time value, time commitment is going to equal promotion. Newsflash, it doesn't happen like that. I'm sorry to tell you if this is the first time you heard that, but I'm trying to help you get to the next level of your career. So mindset shift right here is, right, your narrative. What does it say? Because oftentimes, if you make yourself visible, other people, you're attracted to other people outside of that as well. Yep, definitely, Lachey. I like that. Thank you for tapping in. Build your narrative right there. The other thing, think of your LinkedIn like your digital elevator pitch. A lot of us, we have future aspirations of being an entrepreneur, or we have aspirations of getting to that next level of our career, right? But your LinkedIn profile doesn't speak to, it's not pitching anything. It's just kind of bland. It looks like everybody else. Like I talked about before, I managed X amount of people, or, I did this, that, or the other, but it's not speaking to the transformation that you bring to any organization. And this is what we want to think about, is how can I transform my presence in a digital format that anytime my feed comes across their page, they want to stop, pause, and dive in a little bit more to better understand who I am and what I bring to the table. You know how many times that I've been offered positions and I've never worked for the organization? They just knew of my profile before. That can work for you as well. So what does that mean? It means us getting uncomfortable, making sure our visibility is spot on, making sure that we're actually talking our shit, right? And what I mean by talking our shit, we're speaking our language. We're telling people what we actually accomplished. This means closed mouths, they don't get fed. What are we trying to do? We're trying to get fed. So make yourself visible in that approach right there. Make sure your LinkedIn profile speaks like an elevator pitch. All right, make sure I got any comments or notes. Thank you, Lachey, for tapping in. Listen, Lachey, she's doing some dope work, so y'all may want to tap in with her. I see CZ, he just tapped in as well. What more should I add to the mindset change to help me from a mental perspective? Oh, we're going to dig more into this. So thank you for that question, and hopefully I answered that question in a minute. So the question is, what more should I add to the mindset change to help me from a mental perspective? And we're digging into that here in just a second. What did I have for you? Oh, I want to give you some tips right here, and hopefully this answers some of your questions right here. So we're on that mindset shift number two, which is visibility isn't vanity, right? It's value, right? And we talked about this, how you can bring value to the table. Here's some quick tips that I put together that I want to read for you that could help you tweak your profile to get you to the next level. So here's your headline, right? We're switching from thinking like an employee to thinking like a leader. Remember that it's a mindset shift. We're no longer an employee, we're a leader, even though we're not in that title. So how do we do that? By using our LinkedIn profile or any of your profiles, right? The employee says, I'm a registered nurse for health or healthcare professional or team player. That's what your headline says, right? A leader version of this says, I'm a nurse leader driving clinical excellence, patient experience advocate, a future director of care. You see what I'm saying? So your headline isn't just a label, it's positioning statement. Speak to where you're going, not to where you've been. The employee version says, okay, I'm just a registered nurse, a healthcare professional, and a team player. Okay, that sounds great. There's a lot of people like you out there on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people like you that have a very similar headline as you. But the leaders say, I'm a nurse leader driving clinical excellence, patient experience advocate, and I'm a future director of care. So you're speaking to where you're going. You see what I'm saying? That little shift right there can help create additional opportunities for you. What about my about summary page? The employee version says, I've worked in healthcare for 10 years and I'm passionate. You've seen that before, right? You see that on somebody's profile. I worked in healthcare for 10, 15 years, and I'm passionate about helping patients. That's absolutely great. That means you have a servant's leadership heart. That's absolutely dope, but it's not going to get you promoted. It's not going to make you visible, and it's not going to get you seen. The leadership version says, with over a decade in healthcare, I specialize in building high-performing care teams that deliver compassionate, outcomes-driven service. I believe leadership begins at every level, and I use strategy systems and storytelling to drive change. Which one speaks like a leader to you? Y'all let me know. The employee version that I worked in healthcare for 10 years and I'm passionate about helping patients, or with over a decade in healthcare, I specialize in building high-performing care teams that deliver compassionate, outcomes-driven service. I believe leadership begins at every level, and I use strategy systems and storytelling to drive change, right? That's your about your summary page. What about your experience section, right? We're looking at your job descriptions. And an employee says, I handled patient check-ins and I updated records. This is what your little in your job description, whatever your job is right now. I handled patient check-ins and I updated records. Okay, that's dope. There's a lot of people like you doing those things. But how do we tweak this to speak like a leader? The leadership version says, I streamlined front desk operations, improving check-in speed by over 40%, which enhanced patient satisfaction scores. Okay, I'll read that again because I probably said it fast. The employee version said, I handled patient check-ins and updated records. That's the employee speak. Leadership speak says, streamline front desk operations, improving check-in speeds by 40%, enhancing patient satisfaction scores. You see what I'm saying? These are the tweaks that we're looking for when we're speaking. Oh, y'all let me know I was zoomed in. This freaking camera I got right here. There you go. Next time I get zoomed in like that, y'all got to say something. I got this freaking this motion camera that does all these freaking fancy things, but I like to talk with my hands and it picks up my hand motions and then it starts zooming me in. So the next time y'all see me with a big head, y'all say, Pat, you got a big head. Drop some comments in there. Because when I'm navigating through these screens, I'm not looking at myself. All right. So hopefully now I don't have the big head anymore. We can get through that. So that was mindset shift number 2, which visibility isn't vanity. Now let's tap in with mindset shift number 3. Stop waiting to be chosen. Ooh, let me let that sink in. You're waiting to be chosen, thinking my hard work is going to equal opportunity because now I'm going to be visible because they see how hard I'm working. And so you go home at night and you're frustrated because no one noticed the hard work that you've been putting in. So you think, right? You think you've been putting in hard work, but that hard work is only felt in your peer group. It's only felt in your little department, but it's not felt across the organization. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get leadership to see us at the highest level so we can create opportunities for ourselves, right? So let's stop thinking about how many hours I'm putting in or how I manage X amount of things. Now I'm thinking about how I position myself for opportunities. Chosen people choose themselves first. Hopefully, I'm not the first one telling you this. Stop waiting to be chosen. If you're chosen, you're choosing yourself first. And what I mean by that, when you're choosing yourself, you're telling yourself that I'm ready for my next level. I'm choosing to make myself visible. I'm choosing to put myself in uncomfortable situations. I'm choosing to insert myself. I'm choosing to walk into the office and think like a leader. I'm choosing to have ownership over the organization. I'm choosing to be a valued member of the organization. You see what I'm saying? You're choosing to do all these things. So stop waiting to be chosen and choose yourself. All right. The other thing too is create a runway. And what I mean by creating your runway is you want to host like lunch and learns at your organization. Maybe you have town hall meetings that you do on a monthly basis. Maybe you can ask for a slot where you can speak about various things like that. Yes, exactly. Let's say chosen people choose themselves first. Um, and then maybe you want to create a thought leadership series, and this is outside of your organization. A lot of people think that I need to do these things within my organization in order to create opportunities internally. You can do things outside of your organization and then post it across your feed that creates visibility opportunities for you outside of your organization. Or if you have leaders within your organization that are tapping in with your feet, once you do something externally, now they're seeing what you're doing externally, and then they're thinking, you know what, Patrick can contribute to the greater good of our organization, right? So you want to create that runway for yourself. We talked about lunch and learns, thought leadership, town hall meetings, things like that. But then you want to send value driven emails to executives, meaning we're not brown nose, and what we're doing is we're creating opportunities of enlightenment, we're problem solving, and then we're making ourselves known. We're not brown nosing. I'm choosing myself to get to that next level. A lot of us right now thinking, well, it's going to put me out there. It's going to make me exposed. Absolutely is, but this is like you choosing yourself. This is when you chose yourself. When you chose yourself, now you're creating that opportunity for yourself. So the secret to standing out without burning out, listen, align your zone of genius with strategic exposure. So we want to be visible. All right. Time check. Okay, we got 3 minutes left, so I'm gonna wrap this up, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Action packed, really, really quick. There's only 30 minutes, so you have to get it in where you fit in. So I created a new membership program, and it's called the Hustle 25-8 Inner Circle. Why this matters to you. All right. I've shared with you before. I spent over 15 years rising through the ranks of as an executive. I had a successful exit with an organization. I run a couple business behind the scenes. I tag myself the healthcare guy, THAT healthcare guy, right? That's my tag. You can follow me across different social channels as well and tap in with the content that I create. I create that because I want it to be visible to create additional opportunities for me. But also, what I'm also trying to do is create additional opportunities for you. So if you look at everything that I put out, I talk about motivation, the hustle, the grind, leadership topics, things like that. These are designed to help put you in situations or understand what I've been through or similar challenges that other people have been through to help you get to that next level. But in my inner circle program, you're going to get monthly coaching plus accountability. I think that's so important that we hold people accountable, creating career branding tools that help you brand yourself, visibility strategy, growth minded network, which is so important. You want to be in a room of like minded individuals because you've heard it before. Your network equals your net worth, right? And we're trying to make sure we have a bunch of zeros behind those ones, right? And if you ever felt stuck, unsupported, or invisible, listen, this is for you. Can I drop this in the chat box? See if that works. All right, hopefully that shows up right there. All right, so that's going to be the link to my inner circle. Go ahead and sign up for this. It's only $47 a month. With $47 a month, you're going to get some dope insights, some skills. You're going to get to see my face, some more guidance and leadership. Plus, I'm going to put you in rooms of other people that look like you, that's ready to elevate to get you to that next level. So here's my call to action. Listen, the real barrier of your career success is those outdated beliefs. It's not your resume, right? We may think it's our resume. Now, your resume is a big piece of it. I'm not saying focus on your resume, but we have to work on that mindset. The other thing, too, is you don't need more letters, those credentials behind your name. You need more leverage. And when you get that leverage, they create additional opportunities. Then understand this visibility, mindset, and intention, they change everything. So let's get visible. Until next time, I appreciate you guys. I want to stick around for 30 seconds or a minute more. So if there's any questions, you can drop it in the chat box. But if you need to get out, you get out. Until the next time, I think we're going to do another one on Wednesday. If you need to go back and look at some of the other LinkedIn lives that I have out there, it's great. The other thing I invite you to do is make sure you follow me across all my social channels. That healthcare guy, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, or YouTube, we'll connect there. Until next time, let's keep hustling. Let's keep getting it. Get to that next level. Okay, we're good to go.